How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting. Welcome back to Muv-Luv Monday, where we are here in the grass after having a good old dressing down by Dagulu, which was earned. We needed a kick in the pants. It's funny because at the same time, like, I respect Yuuya for being able to really try and push his energy in the right direction. He didn't stay beat down by his sadness and just the horror of the loss of Yuuya, especially with how unexpected. And I mean, you go through such a trial like the terrorist attack, the beta attack on the base, and like barely being able to pull a win out of your hat, like right at the last second, only to have her be gunned down the next morning, seemingly out of nowhere. I think the shock of that, especially after the exhaustion of actually managing to be successful, I think really would take a toll on the psyche. It took a toll on everybody. But Yuuya bounced back rather well, and it wasn't perfect, but he had his friends with him, and he was able to do so, and now, to like, even though we saw him putting energy into the program, he was kind of putting his energy in the wrong direction, or at least in a not as well guided direction, which is why they needed leadership, so it's good that he's back. But yeah, it's tough, man. Like, I think one of the most common things we experience isn't like a lack of motivation. I think a lot of us feel powerful motivation to get stuff done, but the problem is that we end up burning rubber and spinning wheels in directions or at times when it's just not very efficient, not effective. We could do so much more efficiently if we were just more practical, if we were given better direction, if we were given more not more leeway, but more functionality and more capability to move forward. And that's what's really beautiful about this scene, I think, that leading up to it, is this idea that, like, Yuuya wasn't like he was locked down mentally. He was moving forward. He wasn't trying to sit around to do nothing. He was trying to move forward and to make sure that Yui's dream became reality. But then he kind of got slapped in the face with the realization that, like, he was doing it in some of the most unproductive ways. And the rest of his team as well. Like, he'd been so focused on himself, he hadn't even thought about the fact that, like, you know, even without the Shiranui seconds working right now, we could still be running drills. We worked with and did tests, like, just in general to keep up our, like, if you think back at the beginning, before we had a Shiranui second, or while they were retrofitting a Shiranui second, we were running drills in the normal TSS because that still gives us interesting data, that still gives us practice, that still helps us have insights, and he just didn't even think about that. And I didn't even think about that. So it's a really cool example of how human it is to be putting your energy into a project but then putting it in wrong, which is why leadership and proper management is so important. It helps direct energy flow into the right directions. And I have tons of respect for this arc right here. It's sad that I did split it up there in hindsight because I had all these thoughts about this afterwards. And so I'm happy to be able to share it now. So this is the idea of, like, okay, this is not just a story about dealing with grief. This is also a story about understanding the proper role of management, like why it is important, why it has to be applied, and how it should be applied, and what makes it powerful and effective in making things get done and get done well. There's a lot of good examples of terrible management and what bad management can do. This is one of those good examples, and I think it's important to highlight it. So, let's see what we're going to do. Now, Yuuya's going to have some time to himself. Let's see his reflection. Let's see if we can get back on our feet and we can jump back into the program in a way that is actually going to bring about proper change, because we need to do it for Yuuya. We need to make sure this is as successful as possible. I believe in it. I believe that Project Prominence has the potential to be able to help the pilots who are dying on the front lines, and that's really what matters. All right, so let's just jump into it. What is my goal? How am I going to achieve it? As I am now, I should focus on living life as a surface pilot rather than trying to reach the highest heights of whatever, except things are never so cut and dried. Lieutenant Colonel Latrova taught me sacrifices are necessary evil, but I refused to accept that. I didn't want to ever be forced into making such a decision. I wanted to have my cake and eat it. Yuuya must have felt the same. If she didn't, she would have never joined us in trying to stop the redshift, risking her life trying to bring down Cryska and Inia, or spared no expense to win the day back without taking a single casualty. Even the best laid plans don't always work out, but that doesn't mean you don't have to try. That's the lesson I should have taken away from this whole episode. That's true. It's like, that's the idea, is like, sometimes it's worth making that gamble. Sometimes it's worth taking that risk because, yeah, it could absolutely fall apart on you. but it might not. I think the balance really needs to be struck is like never gamble what you aren't willing to lose. And it's odd to say that your life would be something you could be willing to lose, but when you're dealing with like the survival of hundreds of thousands of people, it kind of does tip in that balance, in that scale. It's like, because I was arguing, like, even with a TSF with full fuel, flying at full speed at the time when they were deciding whether or not they were going to chase down the beta, I don't know if a TSF with all those resources could have made it far enough away to actually survive. Like, maybe survive, but you'd probably be poisoned or incredibly damaged, stuck in an EMP. I mean, your TSF could be locked and stuck in the ground. You wouldn't even be able to get out. Chances of rescue, pretty slim. So, like, when it comes to, like, maybe surviving or definitely not surviving unless you pull a Hail Mary, sometimes that Hail Mary makes the most sense. But I didn't. Instead, I became blind to the big picture after losing Yuuya. In my desperation to find some closure, I deluded myself into believing that wallowing in this familiar sense of pity was helping me move on. Escapism doesn't help anybody. You need to face reality or I won't ever get my life back on track. Yui's gone, and she's never coming back.
Bridges.
Hi. Didn't think to see you here. Cryska. Honestly, it's weird. So she made it sound like she didn't remember us, but now she's acting like she does. So did she lie? Like, what's up with that? It's been a long time. Has she lost weight? What are you doing here?
邪魔だったか? それなら.
No, not really. That's not what I meant. Want to sit down?
わかった.
Aww.
ここに来れば貴様に会えるような気がしたんだ.
Okay. I doubt this is going to be our picture for the thumbnail, but I kind of like this. It's very simple, but it's just them chilling. Find me?
貴様には言っておかねばならないことが。高村中尉のことだ。
Right.
昨日、サンダーク大尉から高村中尉が殉職されたことを聞かされた。
Wait, you only found out yesterday? I see.
心から哀悼の意を捧げる。
Thank you. I'm sure Yuuya would appreciate it too.
ブリッジス、高村中尉はどこに埋葬されたんだ?
Aww.
基地の敷地内か?
She wants to pay respect. No, in the Empire, following her mother's wishes.
そうか。祖国の大地に帰ったのか。
Her homeland will be her place of final rest. I've never really thought about where I want to end up. Funny enough, I kind of have, but it's not what you'd think. I actually am kind of against the idea of having a traditional cemetery grave plot. I like what cemeteries provide for the future generations. This idea of a memorial, because oddly, I find it kind of comforting to walk through graveyards, especially when you can find the older ones, the ones that have been around, where you can see death dates in like the early 1900s, late 1800s, or even earlier. I imagine in Europe you can find some ancient ones, which must be really interesting. I like the memorials that can be left behind, and even if you have no idea who these people are, you can see that they had a loving connection with the people around them, and that left a mark, you know? And the symbolism of that, the mark that's left behind, that's meaningful, and I like that. I think that's really cool, but I also think there's a downside because it takes up space and kind of turns into a garden that many people can find too morbid to enjoy. Not everyone is as altruistic as I am, and many people will just avoid graveyards out of the sense of, you know, of depression, of fear, of inevitability, or simply superstition. Like, they can keep people away for all those reasons, and so you end up having this space that, like, it becomes a quiet, reserved area for people to grieve, which, that's good, but at the same time, it takes up a lot of space. And I don't necessarily want that, especially when the cost of upkeep is something that ends up kind of falling on the shoulders of my family for a long time afterwards. That's not the legacy I want to leave behind. I'd rather leave something behind that's a bit more practical. So in my ideal, I would either want to, I want to be cremated, and I'd either like to have a memorial set somewhere, maybe like just a little plaque that can represent me rather than like an entire like coffin for my remains. Because then the idea and the hope that someday, somewhere down the line, someone might stumble across my name and maybe I'll give them a spark of curiosity, make them wonder who I was and what I meant to people. Maybe I could actually have future generations who could track down my location, and if I had any meaningful stories to pass on at that time to my descendants, like maybe they could reminisce about that or the impact that I left behind if I had anything. I hope I do, but not everyone gets to be a hero worthy of note to put into the books and to be remembered for feats and achievements, and that's okay. I wish I could. That's one of my biggest wishes of my whole life, but I don't know if I can do much about making that happen. I'm not inherently great. I don't have any major contributions to offer besides just being me. And while that can be enough for some, I don't think it's enough for me. And that's okay though, because I think for the people who matter, I am going to be able to leave at least a positive experience and a positive impression. And if I can leave this world a little better than I left it, than I found it, then I'll be quite happy with that. So maybe a memorial or plaque might be fun. I like the idea of something like, I've seen like benches made of plastic set in like ideal locations where you can where they have a plaque with a name. And to me, that's plenty, because not only would I be able to have like a memorial for myself, but I could provide a service in a way that just giving people a place to rest and to enjoy the view. There's a lake up in Montana where my grandfather grew up, and it was a place I visited a lot when I was a child, and I've talked about it before. And that lake is a place that I would like to, if I were to just have my remains put somewhere meaningful, that might be my top spot. Which is odd because compared to my grandfather and father, I spent very little time there, but some of my most cherished memories of my childhood were there. And the location has such significance for my own family that I feel like I have a permanent bond to it. And so until something else comes along that might become more meaningful as far as the location goes, it'd be a good place for me. And then ultimately, if I had my ultimate wish, I would want a tree to be planted. Nothing so creepy as like the body preserved in the roots of a tree per se. Maybe ashes buried at the base of the tree. But I've always loved trees, especially as something like a fruit-bearing tree or a willow tree. I love the way they look. I like what they can represent. And while they're far from permanent, I like what they bring to an area until they finally fall. Natural causes, chopped down, a random sparked fire, I don't know. But I always loved trees. And so that might be my ultimate choice for a headstone, would be a tree. Doesn't need to be marked. Maybe be put in a place where it's unlikely to get cut down. That'd be nice, but ultimately, I can't think of anything more beautiful to mark a passing than the start of a new life that can bring its own source of joy and comfort to the creatures and the people around it. And I only say fruit tree just because, I've always been a fan and the idea, if I can, one of my dreams is to get enough land, to own enough land, to be able to have a little orchard. Cherries, apples, pears. If I were living somewhere warm enough, maybe peaches and oranges. I've always loved taking care of fruit trees. It's something I've done with my parents, since I was a kid. Nothing crazy I want to have an orchard and do some kind of production with them. No, just have it and be able to make jams and preserves and eat it right off the tree, the pure fruit, and there's something really pleasant about that. It's so interesting. I go in all these different directions of what I'd be happy with. And it's funny because I think if you'd asked me 8 years ago, think about death, I think I'd be terrified. Now, not so much. I now think of, like, it's just another chapter, and I probably won't be conscious for it, of course, but, like, I like the idea of that if I leave something behind, that it becomes a positive experience and a positive addition to the world. And that's what I'm more focused on than anything else. So yeah, where do I want to go? Where do I want to end up? I just want to be somewhere that can add something nice to the world. Somewhere, somehow. I have no place to call home, not since Mom died. Too many bad memories there. How's Inia doing? He wasn't particularly forthcoming, but Captain Sandak basically told me there's nothing to worry about.
そうか。タイがそんなことを。
She's like, crap, I can't say much then. Cryska?
ああ、すまない。
Hang on.
いや、大丈夫だ。身体には何も問題ない。
Ah, right. She might not have recovered. Physically.
まだ意識が戻っていない。
Oh, yeah, she wasn't supposed to say that. What's wrong?
これは機密情報だった。サンダーク隊もここまでは貴様に言っていないのだろ?
Well, everyone's been extra careful right now, but yeah, he didn't even hint at it. Don't worry, I'll pretend I didn't hear anything.
頼む。
Still. The fact that she said that is actually really crazy. She's been so staunch about following the rules, like the fact that she can let that slip here is kind of intense. It's not like I hadn't considered the possibility, but it's a bit of a shock to learn that Inia still hasn't woken up. So this is the secret behind the Scarlet Twins, huh? Hypnotize and pump them full of drugs. Pay no mind if you end up driving one insane and rendering the other comatose. I really do worry about what they're doing to them physically speaking. So far, only Inia's suffering the side effects, and maybe it's because she's so much smaller than Cryska, but you never can know. What's wrong?
イーニャは大丈夫だ。大丈夫に決まっている。
I hope so. Yeah, you're right. She'll be fine. She'll be just fine. What the fetch am I doing? Cryska might be beside herself with worry. What the hell am I thinking, bringing Inia up? Gotta keep the conversation light and breezy.
大丈夫だ。
Aww.
イーニャは必ず戻ってくる。大丈夫なんだ。絶対。
Fetch me. She needs a hug. She'd never accept it though. She'd be less willing to accept it than Yuuya, I think. But my goodness, does she need one? Because good grief, it's like, I don't know. In some ways, like passing might be almost easier to deal with. Like Yuuya passing is horrible and I hate it. But at least it's like it's done. We can move on. Inia in a comatose like state. She's in like a limbo. She's both technically around still, but she's also not. And that can be even worse because then you're dancing on a precipice of hope that every day dwindles slightly, like it gets worn away like sand across a stone. And so like you're just constantly having that sandpaper feeling applied to your hope and having it just constantly be wearing and wearing and wearing and imperceptibly just chipping away at it. It's like a torture almost. Yeah, I agree with you there. It's only a matter of time.
ブリッジス。
Yuuya's fine. Why did he say about that in his third person?
Huh?
I'm telling you to call me Yuuya Bridges is just way too stiff at this point.
そうか。だが、なぜいきなり?
I genuinely thought he was talking about himself in the third person because he was like detaching from it. No, it makes more sense that he's just trying to correct her. Inspiration, I guess? It's what you called me back then.
あの時。お願いよ。一緒に守ろうって。ユーヤを守ろうって。
Yeah.
言ったのに。
I was surprised, but I also realized there's no reason we can't be comrades in arms. That's probably not something we should repeat around other people, certainly not in this political climate. But if you know, Inia's been calling me Yuuya from the day one. If it works for her, why wouldn't it work for you? Besides, I think she'd like it.
イーニャが喜ぶ? そうだろうか.
It's a little unfair bringing her back into the conversation, Yuuya. Of course I'm right. Guaranteed. Well, it's not gonna move her to tears or anything, but I'm sure Inia would at least crack a smile.
そうか。わかった。貴様がそこまで言うのならば、やってみよう。
Yeah. Yeah.
ユーヤ。 確かにこちらの方が言いやすい。
I like that. I also think that's pretty cool. Like when it comes to names, like the complex names are fine, but there's a reason people get nicknames, because sometimes it's really nice just to have something that's really simple and easy to call out, something distinctive enough that you can identify them, and it doesn't have to make things super complicated. Like, I mean, I think the name Gilgamesh is cool, but like if you name someone Gilgamesh, like I'm gonna call them Gil or Mesh, although that sounds really weird, so I don't know if that'd be a good nickname. Anyway, always with the insults. Oh, I'm used to it by now.
イーニャがそう呼んでいたので気にはなっていたのだ。確かに発生しやすい。非常に合理的だ。
That's fair.
なんだ？問題があるのか？
Forget it.
変なやつだな。
You're one to talk. Those in glass houses.
ユウヤが何を言っているのかわからないな。なんだいきなり。
Sorry, my bad. Never mind. She actually needed to have a reason to call me by my name. I was right about her bureaucratic mindset for a change. Yuuya was very much the same, come to think about it. She was embarrassed as hell to say my name out loud, but she kept sneakily doing it when nobody was around. Then I would bring it up, and she'd play dumb with the world's worst poker face on display. Say, Cryska, how was your time in Berkut today? Got any good numbers?
なぜそんなことを突然尋ねる？
I'm not, you don't have to give me specifics, I'm just wondering if it went okay. Well, you came to Yuuya and me for advice that one time before, right? I was worried you could be stuck in a rut or something like that again.
それは...
That's off limits, huh? Wait, don't say it! I don't need to read your mind. I predicted your response by looking at your facial expressions. She's like, crap!
そうか。
Still, even if Inia's not flying shotgun, you still have a threshold score you need to reach, right?
もちろんだ。
So, I realize you're worried about her, and I'm not trying to say that you're wrong or anything, but shouldn't you put yourself first for the time being?
私のことなどどうでもいい。
See, that's what I'm talking about. I'm sure Captain Sandek didn't tell you you could fret over Inia 24/7 and to hell with your numbers.
いや、そういうことでは。そうだな。私が間違っていた。
Yuuya's really figured out how to talk to her.
確かにどうかしていた。
You messed up? That's what you really think? Do you really believe you could just pretend not to be worried about Inia and focus only on your tests?
一体何が言いたいんだ？ああ言えばこういう。なら私はどうすればいいのだ？
Remember our little altercation before Guadalupe? When I told you you're supposed to look after your buddies first and the group or your country later?
ああ、覚えている。
Well, it's a little late, but I have to admit I was wrong. We're social animals, and our very lives contribute to a larger whole. I've been having second thoughts even after your run-in with those guys from the Zara and Kamchatka, and the recent terrorist attack was a clincher. I mean, look at the terrorists. Their countries collapsed, turning them into refugees overnight. When you think about the short, brutal life that awaited them, it's only natural they banded together to survive. They weren't just fighting for themselves, they were fighting for every refugee out there. Striving for a higher purpose is what gave their lives meaning. Now it goes without saying, I don't approve of their methods, but I don't think they were crazy or deluding themselves. One bad day is all it would have taken for me to end up like them. Just one bad day.
ユウヤが？なぜだ？
I'm half Japanese. Because of my ethnicity, I've been discriminated against my entire life. One of the perks of life in the effing deep south, but I digress.
差別か。
So, what I'm trying to say is there's no right answer to how you should live your life. Want to live it for the motherland, the party, and the unit? Hey, be my guest. But even if that's really what life means to you, you still made the conscious decision to shield Inia from harm, at the expense of your own well-being.
個人的な意思。
Haven't you noticed? You're more than capable of putting Inia ahead of everything else, orders included. That's true. She actually technically did. That's something you need to recognize, so don't think about hitting your numbers simply in terms of complying with your orders. Think about it as you're doing your best for Inia's sake. Orders are orders, sure, but some things, like Inia, are more important. You told me there's no reason for you to exist without Inia, but there's another side to that story. There's no Scarlet Twins without you. Imagine Inia finally wakes up, only to find you've been replaced. With how much she cares about you, how do you think she'd feel?
そうか。 そうだな。私は、イーニャのためにも頑張る。そしてその結果は、命令にも反しない。
Man, Yuuya, he's definitely not the best in a lot of ways, but when it comes to Cryska, he gets her. He gets her. And he's definitely not perfect here either, but I think he's doing good. That's the spirit. Feeling better now?
はあ。ところでユウヤ、一つ聞いてもいいか？
What?
先ほど言っていた、幼少期から受けていた差別というものについてだ。
Ah, that. Oh.
グアドループで、貴様が日本人と呼ばれることに怒りを示し、高村中尉と衝突していた事情は理解できた。だが、差別が起きる理由については、よくわからない。いや、以前よりは想像できるのだが、そこを詳しく知りたいんだ。
Jeez, this woman. She almost got her brains kicked in Kamchatka, and they only gave her a better idea. Her memories must have been manipulated somehow. Drugs or post-hypnotic suggestions. Do I have any positive proof? Nope. But where's the smoke? Where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm glad he's actually picked up on that now too. That helps a lot.
無理にとは言わないが。
It's fine. Old story is at this point, but this isn't gonna be sunshine and rainbows. You okay with that?
それは初めから期待していないから問題ない。
Fair. I don't know how I feel hearing you say that. Anyway, just where should I start?
そうか。そういうことがあったのか。
So, I've been the only one speaking for a couple of minutes now. I've had a couple questions, just shoot. No need to walk on eggshells around me.
いや、問題ない。理解できた。つまり私は、ユウヤと高村中尉に感謝しなければならない。
You do? Why?
ユウヤは私とイーニャを救ってくれた。ユウヤが身を挺して私たちを止めてくれたことは、おぼろげながら記憶にある。
So she was barely aware, but she was aware enough to realize what was going on.
もしもそれがなければ、私たちは二人とも命を落としていたか、意識を失い、二度と目覚めることはなかっただろう。
So unfortunately, they knew one of the risks was going unconscious and never waking up. So there is a real legitimate, chance that Inia never gets up again.
こうして祖国やイーニア、自分のことを考えられるのは、ユウヤがいたからだ。感謝する。
My pleasure. Don't mention it.
そして、高村中尉がいたから、ユウヤは自分を認め、私たちのことを気にかけるようになった。
Aww.
相手が中尉だったからこそ、ユウヤは衝突を繰り返しても和解できたと、私には感じられた。今のユウヤがあるのは、そのおかげだろ。
Whew! I mean, she's right, but whew! Guess you're right.
加えて言うなら、あの時、中尉も私たちを助けようとしていた。
I wonder if we can invite Cryska.
感謝している。
Oh. Because we're going to do the memorial with her Takabakuzuchi, right? I wonder if we can invite Cryska. I wonder if Sendek would allow her to come with for something so sentimental.
この言葉を、中尉に直接伝えることができないのは、残念。
Your feelings are more than enough.
そろそろ、タイに戻らなければ。邪魔をしたな。
No, it was a nice distraction. If you ever want to talk, come find me anytime. We're practically neighbors these days.
わかった。バイバイ、ユウヤ。
Oh, the bye-bye. Good grief. Never have such words held such power ever since Muv-Luv. Muv-Luv Unlimited destroyed me. If you haven't actually seen that or you haven't watched it in a while, I still highly recommend. Just occasionally, I even go back and watch the final episode of Muv-Luv Unlimited, where the series really just took a boot to my feelings and just beat the crap out of me. And that's where the bye-bye really kicks into gear. But still is nice to hear. What?
違った。またな。
Sure. Yeah, that was super oh, okay. Oh, and bye-bye was also what Inia used to always say to us, right? You'd see Cryska sure threw me for a loop. Anyway, hopefully this cheers her up a little. At least I feel I had a little breakthrough in the middle of our conversation. So I owe her my thanks too. That was very sweet.
違う、もっと硬くていい。そこから落として調整していこう。
Ooh, listen to that music kick in. Interesting. I don't think we've heard this score before. It's got to have had a Western feel to it. It's neat.
了解。
2番機のパーツを組み込むんじゃねえぞ。間違えたやつはまた先だ。
Ties that bind.
おう、ゆうや、こっちだこっち。
Vibes feel different in here now.
ああ、朝からみんな活気づいててよ。旦那がアクセル踏んでくれたおかげだろうな。
He's good at that. Just because you're running around like crazy doesn't mean you're actually going in the right direction.
そういうこった。身の程知っていい勉強になったぜ。俺たちにはキー回すぐらいがせいぜいだってな。チー。
So, what are we doing here?
お前の回収計画についてだ。
Ah.
結論から言うと、今提案するのは見送りだ。やっぱり、まずは組み直して再起動させることを優先するってのが旦那の判断だ。
Honestly, that's probably right. Sounds reasonable enough.
ただ、これな。この項目だけは、この間の戦闘のフィードバックと綿密な関わりがあるから。あ？どうした？
So there was something that stuck out to him. Interesting. What's that?
ああ、いいぜ。見てこいよ。
Oh. That's a good picture of her. When did someone get that picture? And what was she? Wait. Oh no. I know what that is. Wasn't that the picture where she was like trying to go out of her way to bring us the report from like our flight? And that must have been her looking at us right before Yufei jumped into the scene. Who was snapping a picture of her then? Because that's the thing, is like, isn't this her looking at Yuuya? Good grief, that glow. Dang.
いい笑顔だろ。ゆい姫がこんな顔するなんて激レアものだぜ。秘蔵のショットだってよ。
Yeah, a smile that could launch a TSF sky high. Yui. Even though it's been scarcely a week since she died, it feels like months have passed. Still hurts like hell to think about her. It's too soon to move on. Having a portrait of her watching over us with a smile isn't that bad. Yui, I'll finish the shoe in a second. It's a promise.
失礼します。
Oh,
高村中尉にご挨拶を差し上げてもよろしいでしょうか。
Oh, sure. Sorry, I didn't mean to get in the way. That's quite a line.
これから入るタイプ0の整備連中だ。あいつらにとっちゃ、注意の存在は相当大きいんだろうし、嬉しいだろうな。
Yeah, which reminds me, it's supposed to be, it's supposed to be reprobated at some point, right?
どうやらもう少し先になるらしいぜ。基地の混乱もまだまだ収まってないしな。燃料抜いて厳重に封鎖した上で、このままにしておくらしい。
Interesting. I wonder if that means, like, what if in an emergency we got to fly it? That'd be really interesting. Like, it would have to be, like, such an emergency that we'd be literally breaking, like Japan would be upset if a random test pilot from America got to fly a Takemakazuchi. But it'd be really cool. Well, makes for a nice makeshift memorial in a way, don't you think? The boosters on display are a perfect match with that rocket smile.
俺もそう思う。あ、そうそう。タイプ0付きの整備兵。封鎖が終わり次第、全員こっちに協力してくれることになってるんだ。
Interesting. So they're just going to leave a Takemakazuchi mechanical crew working on the Project Prominence. I wonder if they actually asked to stay, because otherwise I don't see why the Empire wouldn't just have them come home. Oh.
旦那が掛け合ってくれてな。日本の整備兵の腕はスピードも中身もすげえからな。その中でもさらに精鋭だったあいつらが加わったら相当なスピードアップになるぞ。
Hearing stuff like that makes it feel like there's finally a light at the end of the tunnel, huh? Won't be long now, partner. We'll do everything in our power to bring you back to life. There she goes.
コマンドポストよりイーダル1。テスト終了。直ちに起動。
イーダル1、起動する。
That thing is a demon. It looks so cool.
昨日よりだいぶ詰めてきたな。ムラがあるのはいただけないが、 これなら調整次第でもう少しやれそうだ。
Tinker with her. I hate that he refers to her like a machine.
引き続き機体点検の後プラン B の試験を開始せよ。
わかった。
よーしチェック。
1番、2番、3番、異常なし。
4番、5番、6番、異常なし。
7番ダメ。8番ダメ。9番異常なし。
よし7番8番すぐ見てみろ。
了解。
おお、やってるやってる。なんかもう少しって感じじゃね？
We're getting there. We're getting there. Yeah, once Unit 1's operational, work starts on Unit 2 right away.
楽しみだな。
アルゴス正体、アクティブイーグル、起動しました。リフトに注意してください。
お、二人も帰ってきたみたいだな。
Sella and VG back from the field.
タイミングがいいんだか知らんけど、ハイネマンのおっさんも口出ししに戻ってきたし。まあ、多少は体裁整ったかな。
Oh, there she's. Hey,
なんと
Yuffie.
か形が整ってきたみたいじゃない。94セカンドの再起動はいつ？
Why do all of her flight mates always look so sad? It's like she's pretty happy and peppy, but they're always like, A couple days, I think. You guys are already back in business, from what I hear.
まあね。私はまだ出られないけど、その分この子たちは頑張ってるわ。
Which reminds me, this is the first time I've met your team face to face.
あら、そうだった？バーフェンズ1号、2号、3号よ。
1, 2, 3, 4. There, they're smiling now. Do they have names though, right? With a friend like this?
注意！何よまったく。夫婦の貴重な時間を。仕方がないわね。自己紹介。
She still just calls us our husband, and we don't even respond anymore.
ワンショーフォン少尉よ。
There we go.
よろしく。ルー、ヤーファー少尉ある。姉さんもよろしくある。
Oh, that's adorable.
リー・リンメイ少尉よ。なるほどね。
Oh no.
よろしく。
I'm Second Lieutenant Yuuya Bridges. Pleasure to meet you. And this is...
これが有名なバカチワワよ。可愛くないでしょ？
Oh no.
だとこら！
This is Second Lieutenant Teresa Manadal.
それにしてもユウヤ、意気込みが空回りに終わらなくてよかったわね。
Dude, that kinda hurts.
別に嫌味じゃないわよ。本当にそう思ってる。旦那様には思いっきり得意なことをして輝いてほしいしね。
God, Yuffie's great.
何が旦那様だよ！もうそういうのは終わりだよ！どうして？せっかくうるさい小獣とがいなくなったんだもの。むしろここからでしょ？
Yeah, that was a bit far. Leave her be, Teresa. It's better than having her get all weepy over me.
いや、まあ、普通は、それはそうかもしれないけど、こいつはダメだろ！
というわけでユウヤ、お互い時間はあるでしょ？どう？この後、二人でデートでもしない？
Let's see. How is he depressingly gonna get out of this?
無視すんな！
A date? Any place you have in mind? He's gonna go for it!
リルフォート。ぼちぼち食料事情も解決してきたし、営業再開した店は多いわよ。
Now that's a way to
こう
sell
いう
a
時
date.
こそお金を回さないとね。
Spend time with a pretty girl, go get some interesting food, and go help the economy recover.
どうせユウヤにたかるくせに。
たかる？いやしい発想ね。そんなことするわけないでしょ。
I'm...
旦那様が妻のために出してくれるだけよ。
I mean, the chances are we make the same, but even if not, either one of us, you might make more. Well, actually, I don't know. We are like a premier test pilot. Maybe not. We probably make the same.
同じじゃねえか！
おー、賑やかだな、おい。
Hey, Vincent. Oh, VG. Sorry. I can't believe I mixed them up. I apologize. VG, still? Good work out there.
注意。ご無沙汰しております。お怪我の方はもうよろしいんですか？まだしばらくはダメね。それよりあんたたち、うちと一緒に出たくせに、ずいぶん帰りが遅かったじゃない。
へへ、先に野暮用を片付けてたもんで、試験開始が遅れちまったんですよね。
What could that be? What minor business?
あれよ。
どんなもんか、ちょっと偵察をな。
Oh, they were spying.
で、 どうだった？
It's terrifying.
いやいや、言えませんって。
ケチくさいわね。一緒に戦った仲じゃない。どうせそのうち共有される情報でしょ。
それはそうですけどね。やっぱり先に知りたきゃそれなりの。お、ゆうや、お客さんだぜ。
Oh, Cryska, huh? Huh? Oh, Cryska. What's she doing here?
あれは絶対お前のこと待ってるぜ。言ってやれよ。
Yeah, I will.
は？ダメよ。何言ってるの？
Later.
私とのデートは？
Later. Cryska's like a... I don't know. She's like a bird. She can kind of just flit in and out really easily. You gotta take the moments when you catch and spot her. You gotta appreciate it. We can find you later.
はいはい、俺たちが付き合いますよ。ビエルクとのことをいろいろ聞きたいんですよね。
Oh, VG, why are you going so out of your way?
いらないわよ、そんなもん。だいたい妻を差し置いて他の女と会うなんて何考えてんのよ。
See ya.
ちょっと、こら！
I mean, he was all down for the dinner thing. I think he would go through with it.
はい、注意はこっちこっち。
He's like, go, get. He's grabbed her. Hey.
ああ。
What's up? You need something?
別にこれといって用があるわけでは。何をしているかと思って。
Oh, fetch. She's like, so she'd fallen for him before. Now she's tumbling. Ah, gotcha. Say, how about we take a walk? I can feel the eyes burning on the back of my skull.
変なの？
Yeah.
理解した。
That was such a great pan. Let's go to the same place as yesterday. Is that good with you?
ああ。
How's Inia doing?
それは言えない。
Oh, right. Classified information. Yeah, no helping it, I guess. Starting to get cold. You sure she's not hibernating?
冬眠？人間が冬眠するのか？初耳だ。
Alright. She's channeling some real Maya vibes right now. That's pretty adorable. Like, Cryska, it was a joke. Huh? No, dude, it was a joke. Because Inia likes bears, you know? Like Misha, the teddy bear she carries around everywhere.
なんだ。そういうことか。焦らせる。
Oh, Cryska. You're not supposed to be surprised. You're supposed to laugh.
だが、その例えは適切とは言えない。春までイーニアが目覚めないということはない。
Yeah, you're right. Sorry. In hindsight, I should have figured she would take my words literally. So, how have you been lately? Heard you guys were running some tests today? No, look, it's not like I was trying to pry secrets out of you or anything, just small talk. Asking about how your day is completely normal topic of conversation. But if it's off limits, we could talk about, I don't know, the weather. She's so conflicted. Cryska, you don't need to force yourself to tell.
頑張ったぞ。
Yeah.
頑張ったぞ。
Huh?
なぜそこで驚く？昨日頑張れとユーヤが言ったのだろ？だから。
Good grief. The cute levels have just skyrocketed. That facial expression too, where she's like, what? Like wide eyes. It's so God. Fetch! Why is she so adorable? Right, for Inia's sake.
これでイーニアは喜んでくれるだろうか？
Yeah, I'm sure she would be.
そうか。イーニアが喜んでくれるか。
Gosh, she needs so much emotional support right now. Come on, Cryska.
聞いてくれ、ユーヤ。今日はビエルクと完熟のフェーズ2だったんだが、ようやく機体の空力特性を把握できたんだ。
Okay, hang on. Brakes! I really don't think you should be telling me this. Yuuya's gonna get shot!
ブレードベンをカナード代わりにして機体をコントロールするのだが、この癖を理解するまでに時間が必要だったんだ。
That's actually cool though. Like the blades are super huge, but if they're actually usable for for aerodynamics, oh, I guess that makes sense too. Because like if you're holding a weapon, because the blades stick out like this, right? But if you have like the arms up in battle position, they almost would tilt more like wings. So you could just kind of like lift the arms of the robot to actually like maneuver around, and it might even allow with enough practice for you to be able to like reestablish balance in your weapon base during a turn, which could be really cool, but I imagine it must be insanely complex. Cool. I feel for her. It's pretty hard to jump between TSS with significant difference in specs. Took me long enough to get used to the quirks of the Japanese machines, too. Must feel weird to fly something with all those blades and vans. And Cryska is also going to need to learn how the aerodynamics change once the blade vanes get damaged.
オペレーションバイライトの効果で、ベールクトの動きはすごくリニアだ。ミリ単位のコントロールでも、きちんと追随してくれるんだぞ。
Ooh, that's actually really good. Is that so? She's glossing over one of the drawbacks of OBL, though. Surface pilots aren't computers. You can't expect that level of precision while in the middle of a high-G maneuver. That's exactly why the machines aren't usually designed to be that precise. It gives you some room to adjust, but hang on a darn minute! I bet my left nut that's classified information. Cryska must be so excited about her new toy, she stopped thinking before running her mouth.
どうだ？私は頑張っただろ？
Of course you did. You sure did. I can't tell her to stop when she has such a beaming smile on her face, man. Months ago, I couldn't have even imagined her acting so upbeat. She's like a child on Christmas. Yeah, she really reminds me of Inia right now.
私は明日も頑張るぞ。明日中にフェーズ2を終了してみせる。
She just needs a friend. Gosh darn it, why did... I understand. The world dictates that you need the best, and you have to have everything ready, and you have to be ready for all the trials, and Russia's got technology that can program people to be more efficient and more effective, so it's a natural conclusion that they would push people this far. But, like, come on, she's still human. She needs people, and she could talk to Inia about this before. She must be exploding inside, just wanting to be herself. And she's being herself with Yuuya, but she's gonna get her and Yuuya in trouble if she's not careful. That's the right attitude.
Ah.
She's talking so happily about her day. I guess this is what her daily life with Inia must have been like. I think that for all this time, I'd never met the real Cryska.
何がおかしいんだ？
Nothing at all. No siree.
私をバカにするように笑っていた。
No! It's adorable. That's not it at all. There's no way I could tell her how cute she is right now.
まあいい。私は明日も頑張るぞ。
That's the spirit. But I'm not gonna fall behind either. Oh, yeah, we're gonna get shot. We are getting shot. We are donezo. We're dead. We are so dead. Oh man. That sucks. There's the picture. Yafei. Are they showcasing something to us here? Or is this just a compilation of like everyone's working hard? Oh yeah, it's just a compilation. And look, there she is. She's in the background, keeping an eye on us, and VG's like, hey, she was there. Oh my gosh. October 1st, 2001. Alright, looks like we're back in game this time. But I think we're going to be ending here for today. We're dead. We are super dead. Except for the fact that it looks like Sendek might be drawing the conclusion that, first off, my only hope for our future, Sendek might see that Cryska is improving as she bonds with Yuuya, that her interaction with Yuuya is coordinating directly with her effectiveness on the battlefield. Secondly, I think that he, deep down, does care about them. He doesn't just see them as machines. I think everyone around him absolutely sees them as just products to be used and machines. And he's willing to allow them to die for the sake of the motherland, but he also, like, refers to, like, they referred to him as their father, and I think he takes that pretty seriously. So I don't think he's gonna be eager to remove Yuuya. I don't think he was eager to remove Yui. He just had no choice to protect the program. And that's what I'm worried he's going to be facing the same choice here. But he also might be torn with the idea that, like, if he eliminates Yuuya, he might jeopardize the very same program. So, what are his other options? He can make an execution of Yuuya be more natural, maybe something that happens as what looks like a training accident or potentially a battlefield accident. It could be he might try to get Yuuya to join up or like induct him into the Soviet Union, because that could solve his problem potentially if he was technically part of the Soviet Union and their program rather than an outsider who could slip information. But I don't know if his higher-ups would ever agree to that, considering the sensitive nature of the Scarlet Twins and their projects. I mean, I knew that these rendezvous were going to get caught. Like, I'm pretty sure that he's been watching the whole time. What I still think is really interesting is it seemed like that scientist, like, they brought Cryska out, showed her Yuuya, and said, hey, do you feel anything about him? Do you know anything about him? She's like, no. And then she comes out and meets with us. And that keeps implying to me that either she was lying or she almost immediately broke out of whatever conditioning they gave her and brought her back, or they purposely reinstated those memories. I don't know. I'm very confused on that front. I have no idea what to expect from there. But all in all, it still was really interesting, and I'm really curious to see where the story is going to go from here. Nowhere good, because it's alternative, and it's not the main storyline. Even the main storyline alternative was terrible at the end, so I imagine that there's nothing but sorrow and tears for us in the future, but I can still hope. I can enjoy the happy moments, and this was a very good episode. This episode felt good. I feel like we've been able to move on, and in the best way. Like, not in like the forget Yui way, but in the like let's honor and support and remember her and like move forward, like shining her example ahead of us as a banner. And yeah, like I'm really happy about that. So let's just put an end here for now. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel. It's a pleasure being able to share this story with you, and I'm having fun with it. I really appreciate the faith and the like you staying, watching, likes, and comments. All that stuff really helps the channel like mine, especially with how small we are. But we're growing, and that's really exciting to see. Not like it's definitely nothing measurable on the larger scale, but like for me and our community, I'm just happy to see that we're finding more people who are interested in following this kind of content and sharing these stories. So thank you. I appreciate it, because a big reason why I get discovered at all is because there are people here already. You know, it's a weird feedback loop of content creation where you kind of have to have people watching your content so the more people get to start watching your content. And, you know, that's just the way it is. But, like, it means that you all are helping build the channel in your own way. And that means the world to me, especially to the patrons and the members who are supporting me directly. Like, I don't deserve you, but I'm so grateful for you. And I'm going to try and do my best to make the best content I can to help, you know, make something worthwhile that's worth supporting, that you're feeling like you're contributing to a channel that's making content that you like and you're invested in. And if I can check those boxes, then I'm so happy. So make sure you let me know what you want to see on the channel. Make sure you communicate with me what you're thinking, but most importantly, have fun. Thank you so much for sharing these stories. And until next video, watch me. I've seen me next. I'll see you there.